to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
And me, Rob. We got a whole bunch of news.
Oh, yes. News, and more news, guys. It's been a few days. And, yeah, some stuff's gone down. There's been all kinds of changes. We got, a new defensive coordinator, guys. The search is over.
Yeah.
Finally. So Giants hired late this afternoon Shane Bowen, who is former defensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans. So we're going to go all into that and give you guys all the information we have on that currently, since that's said just a couple hours ago, guys. And of course, we're going to go over with you guys my trip to the Pro Bowl. I'm sure some people were probably curious, what it's like to actually go to the Pro Bowl, because I was kind of curious myself. It's not something that was necessarily something I never thought I'd do, but now that it's been in Florida the last couple of years, I figure, what the hell, let's go to one. Let's see what it does.
Might as well.
What the hell? And then of course we had the Senior Bowl this weekend. I know everybody loves to just talk about nonstop on individual prospects. I'll tell you this: we're going to give you guys a quick breakdown. We're not going to go too much into individual prospects, because to be very frank with you, I'm going to still trust the tape of years of college football as opposed to a couple of days of practice. But it is part of the equation when you're evaluating the talent. So we got to talk about that real quick. And of course, we got more Giants news, more NFL news. News
all day long.
News. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to smother in that news.
Let's just say this. If this was the TV show, it would be 60 minutes. It's probably going to be 90 minutes at least. So let's get it. Let's get right into it here. So
we call up Jack Bauer.
Obviously, the big... Oh, God, we're not doing that again. Obviously, the big news again, we hired Shane Bowen to be the new defensive coordinator. So, I mean, as of this weekend, even there was talks that the Giants had to get another interview with the defensive backs coach from the Vikings there while at the Senior Bowl. Took forever to make a decision, and I honestly thought it was going to be Jerome Henderson. I thought that was going to be the pick just because it was taking so long, and there he was, and he was there, and he was at the Senior Bowl and talking to all the players and all that kind of stuff there. But, I've heard a lot of people complaining about the fact that it took too long. And I think that's kind of ridiculous, because it's kind of like we hire Brasillo to be the offensive line coach rather quickly. I think we all can agree on that one. Everybody and their mother was complaining that it was too quick. We didn't do a thorough enough search and stuff like that. Now they do a thorough search, and no, it took too long.
It's New York for you.
Question, Giant fans, what's the appropriate time frame? The Giants can know in the future and wait to make you all happy. Like I can't get over
7 days, 10 hours, 37 minutes, and 15 seconds.
It takes as long as it takes to get the right candidate, and it's the right candidate based on the fit, based on the contract portion of it, and based on the availability of that individual. Because keep in mind, people don't just drop everything for interviews and go, oh, Giants want to talk to me. Let me hop on a plane right now. They got lives outside of work as well. You got to give them a day or two.
Well, that too. I mean, and the higher prospects of defensive coaches that you're going to want to pick up, or just straight up in general coaches, are in the playoffs when you can't talk to them.
And they're in demand.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to talk to them, chances are somebody else wants to talk to them too. So obviously, pretty much the train of thought is that we didn't get our first two picks because they went to Tennessee and Buffalo respectively there. But Shane Bowen is our guy. So Shane Bowen was originally played linebacker over at Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech, you don't really think of as a school that has a lot of NFL guys in it. It's always kind of a decent school, not like a one that you send, go play Alabama week 1 to warm up with per se, but not the powerhouse team. When he was there, he played with Demaryius Thomas and he played with Derrick Morgan. So you got two legit NFL players that he did play with there. And he was his head coach at the time, Chan Gailey. Name might ring a bell for you guys there because, he was the head coach in the NFL as well for quite some time there. So He was a backup as a linebacker, but did appear in 38 consecutive games. So he wasn't a scrub by any means. He just wasn't quite good enough to start in the games there. After 38 games, though, he had a random medical check, and their staff found out he had cervical disc displacement.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that completely ended his career as a player. Now, a lot of guys, when you get that kind of injury, keep in mind, if everybody's ever had core injuries, I mean, back, spine, hip, things that hold your weight on a traditional basis there, that's pain, guys. That's something that changes a lot of things there for you as far as what you can do and how you can do it sometimes. So when you get an injury like that, sometimes you kind of walk away from football entirely. He didn't. He went right into a coaching spot immediately. Was a student assistant in 2009 there. Again, 2009. Keep in mind, we're about to talk about his age. 2009, he was in college. 2010, 2011, he was a graduate assistant at Georgia Tech. 2012, graduate assistant over at Ohio State. Linebackers coach at Kennesaw State from 2013 to 2015. Then went into the NFL, was a defensive assistant in 16 and 17 with the Houston Texans. Was an outside linebackers coach in 2018, 19, and 20. Was a defensive coordinator for the Texans there in 21, 22, and 23. So just ended that run there. Now, there's a couple of things I really liked about the hire. And there's a couple of concerns I have as well. So, nothing's all positive, nothing's all negative with us. We try to give you guys the real deal.
Yeah.
So he coached under Vrabel in Houston. He was there when Vrabel was the defensive coordinator before he became the head coach in Tennessee. Vrabel brought him with him to Tennessee. So that speaks to the fact that Vrabel has respect for him and valued him. Yeah. So what you take out of that basically is if you like Mike Vrabel, you like that. If you don't like Mike Vrabel, you're like, let's Mike Vrabel. I personally like Mike Vrabel. I think he made some dumb moves in Tennessee trying to get all the power. That's probably more Bill Belichick in his ear than anything else. But he's a good coach. He made Tennessee relevant.
I was about to say he turned that organization around.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to assume that the man knows something about football, besides the fact that he played for years and coached at many places as well, including Ohio State as well. So yeah, he knows some things. So that goes in the plus category for me. He's still just 37 years old. Very young to be a defensive coordinator. I'll say that. There's not many times that I look at people that are in the defensive coordinator position and they're half a decade younger than myself. That made it sound much worse. 25 years, but still.
I was about to say. 5 years.
I am.
Back in my day.
There I am, like hyperbolizing things.
You damn hooligans.
But yeah, again, just 37 years old. He got the first time gig at 34. I mean, 34 years old. You're just getting out of your pro career usually. You're not. Yeah, that's just crazy. That's just absolutely crazy. He ran a 3-4 defense, so I like that from the perspective of it keeps us with the same players. We don't have to go try to switch things around. That's kind of a pain in the butt when that happens. So things should work with our current personnel. Jordan Rana, of course, ESPN and Breaking Big Blue podcast, said he's known as a good teacher, specializes in pass rush. His work and the development of Harold Landry was notable under his watch. Bobby Skinner of the Talking Giants podcast. Bowen has had top 5 run defenses every year with the Titans. That's pretty impressive. So impressive that Rob's opening the door so that way anybody else who wants to chime in and come in too.
Oh, and the dog. Yeah.
But
he's excited.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot to be excited about. So you got a really young guy who's excelled very early on. You have a guy who has the respect of somebody that most people in NFL circles have respect for. Here's what I really love about this hire. And I'll get into some of the scares I have, because there's definitely scares, don't get me wrong. But what I love most about this move, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about this, but watch, this is what happens sometimes. You and I make these comments, and then next thing you know, all of a sudden,
we just go like Instagram famous or something.
Yeah. No, it's not what happens. It happens. Other people take our stuff and run with it. I'm not going to name any names, but there's some bigger podcasts that I swear listen to us because we say stuff, and all of a sudden, like a day or so later, it's all over their pages. But anyway, yeah, it's a couple names I could name right now. We won't be those petty people. But who do we have on defense right now? Think about the coaches we have. We have Jerome Henderson still here. He's still under contract. He's still going to be with the team as the defensive backs coach. You have Andre Patterson as the defensive line coach. Both highly respected, very good at their job. I think there's no doubt on that one. That leaves you with linebackers. Where did Shane Bowen coach? The linebacker position. The linebacker position. Now, listen also to what those two guys just said there, Jordan and Bobby there. Jordan says, specializes in pass rush. What do we have trouble with last year, guys?
Oh, the pass rush.
Bobby said, top 5 run defenses every year. What do we have problems with the last few years?
Oh, just trying to stop running backs from running 100 yards on us every game.
So this is a round peg in a round hole, guys. This meets a lot of check marks here for me. Here's the one concern I do have.
Well, I say a big plus with that as well is that he is cheap.
I don't know about that, and quite frankly, I couldn't care less on that part.
Yeah,
I could not care less. I'm not paying the check, and it doesn't count towards the salary cap. My biggest concern is he didn't call the plays on defense in Tennessee. He didn't do that with us for the first time. It's a bit of an upgrade for him because he literally runs the whole defense. He's going to be just like Wink was, where it's like, here's your side of the ball. Enjoy. That's already been pretty much said. So the question now is how much of what the success of the defense in Tennessee was him and how much it was Vrabel? We talked about that when we initially hired this guy. That's my biggest and only concern, but it's a very huge, legitimate concern, I think.
100%. How many times have you seen a situation like this and the new DC falls on their face somewhere else?
Yeah.
Or you see them stride, which could also happen here as well.
And he also followed a very successful defensive coordinator in Tennessee. I apologize, I forget the name off the top of my head right now, but he retired. And that's how Bowen got the job, is because his predecessor retired. And his first year was his best year by far. And things started going downhill the next 2 years. Now, I don't know how much I blame on him on that, because if you look at this team as a whole, the whole team was going downhill. But it was going downhill because of talent. They had a cleansing of the roster, so to speak, the last year or two. And they've kind of been rebuilding and rebranding themselves, so to speak, there. So, I'm not too upset about that part of it there. I'm going to focus on the fact that they had a good defense overall. I mean, they were the 17th ranked defense overall in the NFL this year. And there's really not many people of any status to go, ooh, that's a good player on that defense there. I mean, there's not a lot of them there. Harold Landry obviously is the one guy they talked about there. And yeah, he's got 12 sacks in 21. He's got, let's see here. Pull everything up here. 12 sacks in 21, 10.5 last year. So yeah, the last 2 years, he a couple of years done pretty good. Didn't play at all in 20. Actually, 21 was a 12, 10.5 last year. Didn't play at all in 22. So yeah, very well developed. I mean, if you can get Kayvon to that kind of player, I'll be very happy, because Landry also plays very well against the run guys. So again, I think my big struggle with this really is I don't think this is the guy the Giants wanted.
Yes. That is definitely the biggest gripe. It's not how long it took to get him. The fact that we waited as long as we did is because we were interviewing other people and we kind of settled.
And I don't think we settled because we waited. I think we settled because people didn't want the job, to be very frank.
I think it's a little bit of that. I think there's also the good defensive coordinators got head coaching jobs.
But I mean, I feel like there's still other options that were there that were a little more flashy. So it's like, I don't know how many of them didn't want to go. I mean, some of them didn't even talk. Like, let's put it this way. Like, for example, the Cowboys job opened up. And I'm not going to try to give the Cowboys kudos when I say it this way. But the Cowboys job opened up. People like crazy were like, I want it. You know, that became a thing that people wanted.
Yeah.
The Giants job opened up. And it's like, we're talking to so many people. It's like, we're trying to talk them into it. That's what it felt like.
I mean,
like, you know, you want this job. This is going to be good.
Well, here's the big difference is the Cowboys for the past 3 years have won 12 games. They can't do anything in the playoffs. If they're that DC that comes in there and they could do something and go to the Super Bowl, which every sports announcer on ESPN and wherever you go, they all take Jerry Jones's thing and go, and say they're going to Super Bowl every year. So if they're that defensive coordinator that brings them to the Super Bowl, they're going to head coach a job somewhere else. As if they turn around, come to the Giants, and they go 500 or even go 700, they're probably not going to head coach a job somewhere else.
But I feel like this also, though, goes into the whole Dable Wink thing. Like,
no, I know exactly where you're going with that.
We talk about how Wink, nobody seems to want to give Wink a job this offseason here. But it's also, do people see Dable as a potential lame duck coach? Because let's be very frank, if he has another bad season, it might not, bode very well for him, depending on how bad. And then beyond that, then you start going into the fact that he has the issues. He has a Wink, and he's now got a little bit of a public, even though it was kind of known before, but private, issue with the, with the coaches there, and kind of being known as kind of being a jerk to them. So how much of it is that? How much is the lame duck? How much is it the fact that the Giants haven't been very good the last couple of years? I don't know what percentage of those things, guys. All I do know is I feel like we didn't get who we wanted, and that's one thing I don't like.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, sometimes you get the guy, you don't get the guy that you wanted, and that guy also fails on his face as well. So I will say that, because the other guys we're going after were never a DC in their career. This guy's got some experience as a defensive coordinator, and I think that is kind of important because, again, we talked about the defensive coordinator for the Giants runs the defense. And that sounds pretty obvious and elementary, but what I mean is like runs with a capital R, a capital U, a capital N, a capital S. That's his show. That's his baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So like I said, we'll have to see it overall, but like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic about it because of the whole round peg, round hole thing. A lot of his pros have been our cons. And while I liked Wink, I should say, because I'm not exactly a big fan of him lately, but I liked Wink. I definitely thought that he was a guy who had a round peg, and he was just trying to put it into any hole he possibly could. Like, it didn't matter what offense he was going against. I'm just going to throw the kitchen sink at you and hope for the best. And then the announcers go ahead and kiss his butt and find out what he had for breakfast and say he's so great. But guys, we haven't had a good defense the last couple of years, so I'm not upset about the move, but like I said, I'm a little bit curious if we settled in this move, and I hope not. And that's not going to come out. If it does, it won't come out anytime soon. That's for damn sure. It won't.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just like it comes out like 2 years later. So, yeah. So let's get to some of the comments here. I'm curious what you guys all think about this hire here. So if you haven't commented yet and you're in here, comment away, guys. I want to see what you guys think, and then we're going to start getting into the news about the Pro Bowl, Senior Bowl, and all the latest Giants news. We have more Giants news coming, by the way, guys, because we gained a coach today. We also lost a coach today. So all kinds of news. Like I said, this is going to be a nice long episode here, guys. Namar Sekon, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. What do you guys think about Shane Bowen hire? Well, we did that already. He says, and do you think they took too long to hire the defensive coordinator? I think they took longer than they wanted to. I think they wanted their, always be very frank and say that I think they wanted to hire their coach the second the Ravens got out.
The only other thing you look at.
Who I mean.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, if they would have went after a defensive coordinator on KC, they would have to wait till after this weekend coming up. So, were they going after him? I don't know. But if they were, then they definitely settled with Bowen over here. But it's yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, to me, it just feels like, and maybe it's just because of the fact that they brought him in for a second interview, and and I'm being crazy, but to me, that's not the guy they wanted. The guy they wanted was Baltimore. The guy from Baltimore? What's the name? Denard Wilson?
Oh no, McDaniel.
No, Denard Wilson, sure. The guy who went to the. He was the guy. So this was the guy who was the defensive backs coach in the Eagles. He was the worked with the Ravens this year. That's the guy I think they wanted. The Giants, personally. Like I said, they brought him in for a second interview. I think that's who they wanted. But he went to Tennessee, and I think he went to Tennessee because they had a brand new head coach. He gets to start with a clean slate instead of coming into this muddled house of issues between Wink and Dable, and Dable might be on the hot seat if he doesn't do good this year. It's a safer bet to go to a brand new team with a brand new coaching squad. So it is what it is, I guess. Connor says, I would have liked to see one of our ex-players. I said Pierce would be a head coach, and now he's Raiders coach. Giants take a chance with him, or maybe Carl Banks or something. LOL. Problem is, man, where's a Carl Banks ain't getting out of the booth. No. He loves that booth. He loves that booth, man. And I don't blame him because
he likes to talk, and he doesn't have to be out there in hot seat.
It's not just he loves to talk. He loves working with the Giants. And if you want to ever put yourself in the hot seat of being out with an organization, accept a job in the front office or coaching. Ask John Elway how that's working out for him. It'll be fun for a while, but eventually they're going to show you the door. And when they show you the door, they're not going to just welcome you right back in the building again, because that's awkward to have the old guy and the new guy in the building at the same time.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Carl Banks did a perfect spot, man. Connor says, did you get to talk to Eli Manning at your Pro Bowl visit? Anything great happen or you liked? We're going to go over that next. That's the next segment, Connor. But I'm going to, spoiler alert, I did not talk to Eli. I wish I had. I was literally like maybe 15, 20 feet from him at one point when he first got into the building. But no, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. And your dad's on. He says, howdy, boys. Howdy.
How?
Lamar says, Brian Dable turn organization around, or we fire Brian Dable and Joe Shane. Yeah. I'm so split on those two right now, and it's funny because, again, is it this thing where we look at the year by year and we change year by year, but it's kind of like if we just had the bad record this year, I could live with that because of all the injuries. I could sit there and say, oh my God, this team was so injured, but they kept on fighting. They didn't necessarily turn it around at the second half, but they played a lot better, and I can look at it that way and validate the whole Dable and Shane thing that way. But my issues are the news now with Dable with the coaching. Is this going to be an issue long term? And that's kind of got my guard up to this now. And my issue with Joe Shane, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, is his drafting. I'm not a big fan of his draft so far. They're still young. We still got some time. Let's see what happens. But
there's definitely time for that to pan out in his favor. But
there's been some busts.
Yeah, listen, we also Gettleman was terrible, and then by the end of the episode, we talked about was Gettleman
Gettleman was never a bad drafter. Let me be very clear on that. Gettleman was not a very bad drafter. His issue was spending all this money in free agency to save his own ass, and then also his issue was his attitude overall. Because let me put it this way: when he's on his best behaviors, when the cameras were in front of him. So if he was that much of a jerk with the cameras on, imagine what a jerk he was with the cameras off. Just saying. Deb says, I thought they were waiting for the guy who worked under Spags in KC. Yeah, that's the Chiefs linebackers coach that we went ahead and talked about there, Brandon Daly. But part of this comes into be is that they might have said, hey, maybe I just don't think this guy's going to be available. Maybe they kind of heard the grapevine he wasn't interested. Or maybe we're all overthinking this and Shane Bowen just blew it away in the interview process and was a much better interviewer. I don't know. They're not going to tell us. They're not going to give us the behind the scenes. I wish they would. But let's be honest. They burned so many bridges. It's not even funny doing that kind of stuff. Namar says, I think he has issues with Kafka now also. Yes, he does. We're going to go over some of that in a little bit there. There's definitely been some news on that one there. But yeah, there's definitely been some issues. Big Dash knows what's going on, fellas. What's up, man?
What's up, Big Dash?
Those of you guys watching live, by the way, this is another content creator. I think it's been a little while since Dash has been here with us. He is a guy that knows his stuff. If you guys haven't already liked his page, like his page. It's good stuff, man. And Dash, we got to get you on the show one time here. We know we talked about that a little while ago, and if I remember right, one of us had something pop up, and it kind of fell through. We got to get you on the show, then, man.
Yeah, let's have you on.
Connor says Daniel Jones needs laid it up. We're going to be a long year. Need to rebuild O-line and get backups first. Learn from other teams. Strong offensive line, strong defense. We can always get running back, wide receiver, quarterback later. I'll half agree with you. I think we can do both at the same time. I really do.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully the new offensive line coach actually helps improve the offensive line because,
yeah,
Bobby Johnson was just god awful.
He was really bad. Namar says, "What's up, Big Dash?" And Dash says, "Nemar." I guess they know each other. There we go. Dash says, "We absolutely settled." Yeah, there we go. He says, "I'm just happy to have a guy at the end of the day." That's kind of bad. Is that what we are? We're like that girl at the dance that's been sitting in the corner the whole time, and some guy finally asked us to dance.
Yay! Okay.
That's where we're at there. Connor says, "Let's get Kirk Cousins." LOL. Honestly, I think Cousins is going to be a Falcon. I'm telling you guys this right now. I'm going to call it right now. I think he's going to be a Falcon.
I said that last week. I think so, big time.
I think him or Russell Wilson is definitely going there because I think they're going to get another quarterback probably to develop, behind those guys. But yeah, Dash says, "I agree. Drew Bowen is weak where Bowen is strong where weak was wink. Weak was weak.
Yeah, weak. That wink is weak."
Gotta stop these before the show. Just hope we can keep Henderson happy. He says, "I would promote Jerome Henderson to passing game coordinator." I'm 100% with you, Dash. I'm a huge fan of Jerome Henderson. Like I said, I thought he was the right pick, especially with what was going on. But yeah, promote the man. Let him feel he's appreciated. Because he's been, like I said, he was at the Senior Bowl representing. He's been with us for several years, and he's developed guys. He's developed. So that's the key thing. How many people that have been with us for a few years now can you say consistently develop people in their talent group? There's not a lot. Jerome Henderson's that guy. I mean, we're talking. He made Fabian Washington look serviceable last year. Where's the guy last year? Nowhere. 2 years ago with us, serviceable. Adoree Jackson had probably his best couple of years with us. I mean, look at Deonte Banks in his rookie year now. James Bradbury with us was much better than most of his career has been. Again, these guys developed, and that's just the corners. We're not talking about McKinney, who's developed. Jason Pinnock, Julian Love. I mean, there's been guys he has developed. This is a guy that deserves respect to the organization. By the way, we're going to discuss at the end of the Pro Bowl topic here, respect for the organization. And I think I'm going to rile some people up with the conversation we're going to have because I noticed some things at the Pro Bowl that as a Giants fan kind of pissed me off a little bit. And it's going to go into the topic of like medium Cokes being free. I'm just saying that for the season ticket holders. Remember that a couple years ago. Newmar says, "Big Dash, I agree with you. Promote Jerome Henderson." Connor says, "Funny feeling Caleb was going to be a Redskin commander." I think they want him to be. I think 50-50 right now because depends on who you listen to. Some people are saying the Bears will take him. Some people are saying they won't. So Connor says, "It seems everyone comes here to F with our team." Well, I hope not. That'd be kind of bad. Dash is absolutely fellows. Yeah, like I said, I'll hit you up on Twitter, man. We'll figure that out. Connor says, I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
Oh, so pretty. Are you happy and gay?
It's like every that song, I still think of anger management. I can't help myself.
100%.
I can't help myself.
I don't think
All
I
right.
watched that movie in a decade, but yeah.
It's been a while. All right, let's get into the Pro Bowl talk here, guys. Because listen, I can't even say the final score of the Pro Bowl. I didn't even look that up for this whole thing. Because let's be honest here, no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares. They care about one thing: who won. Just because for us as Giant fans, Eli got to beat Peyton Manning twice. And I'll say this for those who didn't watch it, didn't notice it, didn't pay attention to what was going on. If you don't think Peyton Manning cared about whether or not he beat Eli, then why did he put CJ Stroud back in the game at quarterback? Because he did. And I didn't hear a lot of people talk about that, but CJ Stroud was put back in. Gardner Minshew was the quarterback before him, and they put him back in the game. So, yeah, that just shows you Peyton wanted to win. Just like when they were players, Eli has been the clutch one, though, in the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
All right. So let me go over kind of some things I loved and things to, I'm going to say things to improve, not things I hated, things to improve for the Pro Bowl experience. First off, I'll tell you this, guys. If any of y'all had the opportunity to go to the Pro Bowl, go. It was fun. Honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was interesting. It was different than any other NFL experience I ever had in my life. Go. It's right above downtown Orlando. So you're not far from Universal, Disney, all that kind of stuff. Make a family vacation, whatever of it there. It's a nice time. Here's the things I loved. First off, low prices. If you're somebody who doesn't like paying a lot of money for tickets, I'm cheap by habit. I can't help it. You can get tickets as low as like $45 this game. That's how cheap they were. Granted, those weren't good seats, and not the seats like I had, but you could go to the game hypothetically for $45 a person. That's not bad. So many players in one game, and I know a lot of people are going to talk about the guys who didn't want to play and blah blah blah. That's the conversation every year. It has been since the dawn of time. But let's just put it this way: when you have Hall of Famers coaching, first off, Eli, who's going to be one, I at least in my opinion, we'll see. It's kind of a topic at times. Peyton, Ray Lewis. You look at the guys that were on the field, obvious Pro Bowlers and guys that will be. I mean, obviously Hall of Famers like Travis Kelce's a good example off the top of my head. He's kind of the older statements that was there. But you also go to guys like Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry. Maybe Dexter Lawrence. It'd be nice to have him in the Hall of Fame one day. There's so many people there. Micah Parsons was there. Listen, love him or hate him based on the team they play. Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, there were so many good players. I can go on and on and give you the whole freaking roster, but there's so many players that on a usual game, that's the star that people in the stands are looking at. In this kind of game, you have them all there. It's a different experience. You get to go there when they're coming off the buses and stuff, and you're not that far from them. Like I said, it's fun. It's different. I know people complain about the flag football thing, but listen, they had to do something to get people to show because none of the players want to show. They didn't want to get hurt, and you can't blame them. Why would you want to get hurt whereas you're about to become a free agent potentially? That's stupid.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about it is players, honestly, they genuinely seem to be having a good time and having fun. And you always enjoy being around people that are having fun. That's just life. Who doesn't like that? And the skills competitions, which is how they figure out the way of working in a lot of the big guys, since obviously there's not really a pass rush and offensive line and stuff like that in flag football. They were a lot of fun. I mean, they had a tug-of-war battle that Dexter Lawrence was the anchor on. And let me tell you this, Dexter Lawrence, this is a different view you get of players at this Pro Bowl because they're just in like shorts and a shirt. So it's a totally, totally different view. He's massive, guys. He is absolutely huge compared to all the guys on the team.
He's a mountain of a man.
He was the biggest guy. Literally biggest guy in the field. And they were even talking about it, how Aiden Hutchinson was like the lead guy in the tug of war. And he had the strongest legs, and he was just yanking. You can see the strength in this guy. And they said, with this guy yanking like this and having the anchor of Dexter Lawrence, you're not beating this. So, like I said, I thought it was funny overall because they were not wrong. By the way, am I frozen on your end? I see
You
my
are
frame
frozen on my end.
I don't know why my frame is frozen, but that's that. I am still here talking. That's all that matters. You can hear me. So, see if I can get you.
Now I'm.
There we go. Now I'm just a black screen. Apparently,
Yeah.
that's weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, guys, that's me.
To turn off his lights, he forgot to pay his bill.
Apparently, sheesh. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna see if I can figure out the settings on that real quick, at least for you guys here. There we go. Let's see. There we go. There we go. I'm back. Anyway, so also a thing I thought that was nice with the NFL did this. They had players all over the place. Like meeting like one end of the field and the other end of the field, and here's a sideline. You know what I mean? They were literally all over the place. So no matter where you were, the players at one point were very close to you. That was a nice touch, I thought, overall. Well, I will say, I think next time, if I do a go again, which I probably would go again next year, I'd probably look to go on the sidelines where you're a little closer to the players, where I was at with the skills competition, which was fun. But it's a different thing. Like where I bought the tickets, I was going to be in the end zone. So I was thinking we're going to see end zone shots, like them actually, like, doing catches in the end zone and stuff. It was a little different the way it worked out. So, like I said, that's probably where I'd look next time there. But like I said, fun. I was very close to the players, and I was in row U. So I don't know, not that good with the alphabet. It's probably 20 rows up, if I had to guess, around there. So, pretty close. One thing that was really cool to do. Yeah, about that. One thing that was really cool to do. The fans were all very happy. Like you go to a game and everybody's like, you got the one team bashing the team's fans and stuff like that. Everybody was just having fun. It was that's the biggest different experience. Like, let's be honest, no one cared about the outcome. Everyone was having fun. At one point, we started a wave, and it literally went around the stadium like 5 times.
Oh, that's dedication.
It was fun. Like I said, it was a fun experience like that. So things I would improve. The NFL did not allow tailgating. I thought that was a little ridiculous. That's that's something I really enjoy about going to football games is, going out in the parking lot, drinking beforehand, so I have to pay $10 a beer. Grilling, having fun, chit-chatting with neighbors, the tailgating and stuff like that, meeting new people and all. So yeah, that's the one thing I thought was disappointing. But I did get to meet some cool Giant fans. There actually was a lot of Giant fans, by the way. And I was handing out our business cards left and right to people. So if we got any new listeners, hi. I saw you at the Pro Bowl. Hi.
Well, thank you for jumping on, guys.
The other thing is they need to explain the rules better. So they had flag football going. They really didn't explain too much of the rules and what flag football rules are. Like at one point they called like illegal pass rush. I don't know what the freak illegal pass rush is. I don't watch flag football on a regular basis.
Yeah, right.
So explain these things before. Maybe have a video showing it. They should also release a schedule / itinerary. So like the way they made it seem like it was going to be a couple hours of skills competitions and then they play the game. But no, what they did is they played the game, and during the games they had the skill competitions at the end of the quarters and all that kind of stuff. So they had halftime, and we thought, okay, there's going to be halftime thing. Let's go grab a beer and go to the bathroom, whatever, We come back, they're like, we just missed one of the skills competitions. Because they didn't announce what they were doing and how they were doing it. And I think the NFL, to be honest, is kind of playing it by ear, because there was a thing I saw. I was looking to see who was going to be doing the halftime show. And there was a big thing about how they didn't announce yet who was going to be. And they were working on figuring out who's going to be and stuff like that. And unless I missed it during that quick break, I didn't see a halftime performer.
I was about to say, they had no halftime show.
Yeah, they had Craig Morgan, the country singer, doing the Star Spangled Banner. And I like him. He's been around for quite a while. He's pretty good. And actually did a pretty good version of it. But like I said, it's weird, like release an itinerary. Let people know what the time, like, what the order of things are. So they know when to go take breaks and stuff like that. And this goes into the category of the players. They got to get better QBs, guys. And I understand that they've done money and stuff like that to get these guys to play. You got to get better QBs. Like when Gardner Minshew was playing, It's not quite as bad as Huntley last year when he's the backup quarterback for the Ravens. You have 2 Ravens quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, Minshew was part of that team developing.
No.
Last year.
Come on. Let's be honest here. Minshew is not going to start next year. He's not going to start for anybody else next year. A backup quarterback should not be in the Pro Bowl. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not trying to hate on the guy. The guys, I root for the guy, actually, because I think he's an entertaining guy for the league.
Just that stash.
It's just a stash. But, I mean, again, a backup quarterback should not be there. When you have Tua and C.J. Stroud and Gardner Minshew. Now, I understand it's kind of a weird year. Joe Burrow got hurt. Patrick Mahomes is in the Super Bowl. Obviously, he can't play. You got to get better.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I blame the NFL.
No, I'm not blaming the NFL per se. I'm just saying they need to figure it out.
Yeah.
They got to figure what if I have to throw $5 million at a player to go freaking show. You figure out what you got to do. I'm being exaggerating, obviously, but they give the players, I think it was $1 million when they win.
Something like that.
So double the prize for the quarterback. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. Because in the end, you can't have like Baker Mayfield. No offense to Baker. He had a good year. He had a comeback year. But
probably
that's
his best year.
He's not a Pro Bowler. He's not a Pro Bowler. When you're starting Pro Bowl quarterbacks or Tua and Jalen Hurts, that's an issue. Who, by the way, we can give this up. We can give it up to Jalen Hurts in this because he's technically was an NFC player, not an Eagle player when he did this. That man stopped when he came into the building and signed a ton of autographs for kids. That's the kind of stuff you don't hear about very often. Never gets the props. Props to him for that. As much as I hate the Eagles, and I think he's a bust who will fall flat in his face eventually, that was a nice touch. I really thought he stopped more than anybody else to stop to sign autographs for kids.
That's what's up. I like that. I like to hear that.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't want to give kudos to an Eagle, but I'm going to give him kudos because he was an NFC player, not an Eagle when he did
it. Touche.
Exactly. My last thing I would say to improve it, just have some stuff for the fans. Have some games out there. Have some stuff so the fans can do, because the stadium opened at noon and they were doing flag football with the kids on the field, which is fine. But I don't have kids. They're not my kids. I don't want to watch them. So at least give us something to go ahead and walk around and do.
Like OnlyFans.
Kind of like a fan experience zone kind of thing. You know what I mean? Not OnlyFans. Sheesh. No feet pictures. Like I said, seriously, fun time, great time. I don't think it necessarily shows up as well on TV. I've watched it on TV before. It's boring like that. It's a fun thing to go to. So if you get the chance, go. Enjoy. Any thoughts? Did you watch the Pro Bowl at all?
I really didn't. I
didn't think so. See, that's what I'm saying. Nobody watched it.
The worst part was I was me, Drew. Sundays this time of year playing shuffleboard with vets.
AKA drunk.
I got a half an hour drive from the Legion. I don't know, slap and pickle.
All righty. Let's get into the Senior Bowl then real quick here, because I'm not even going to comment on the game itself, because let's be very frank, the game no one cares about. No one cares about it. The big thing is the practices. You get to see people that are going to be going out into the NFL draft, battling it up in individual drills against other people that are going to go into the NFL draft. So it's a cool experience. It's a rare thing to get to see. If you're somebody who's coming out in the draft, this is a chance for you to make it or break it. And both people in both categories will be full of people. So we're going to give you just the winners and the losers real quick in there. The biggest winner by far in the Senior Bowl, Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. Now, he was a guy that did extremely well in college. People weren't quite sure, though, because he went to Toledo, how good he would be in the NFL because of that difference in there. He owned every single wide receiver in the Senior Bowl. I mean, like Revis Island owned. That's how good he was. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's Revis in the NFL, because a lot of these players that are in the Senior Bowl are guys that are going to be backup wide receivers later on in the league. But it's dominance you didn't typically see out of other people in the Senior Bowl in the past. It was that good. He's going to be a first-round pick now. I think he solidified himself as that. MVP of the actual game itself was Spencer Rattler, who looked to potentially be the best quarterback outside the top 5. And when I mean by the top 5, we talked about actually the top
Drake
6.
May.
I'm sorry, top 6. I should say. I'm sorry. The exact Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix. He is the next guy outside of that group. He's like that third tier of quarterbacks there. And I've heard some people think that he might get a chance to start somewhere eventually, which I thought was kind of interesting. I think he'd be a good backup in this league. It's my own personal opinion on him currently, but like I said, some people liked him a lot, so we'll put him as a winner there. Michael Penix Jr. He's a winner, but he's kind of a winner by default. So again, we talked about that second tier of quarterbacks: JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., and Bo Nix. Well, Penix and Nix were both there. And Michael Penix didn't really overly impress, but he was obviously the best quarterback at the event. And that obviously helps his status when you're comparing him to Bo Nix. Because when you're going to look at that later on, like, hold on a second, here was the two guys. We got to see them side by side. This one looked better than that one. That's, again, day-to-day things happen, but this is like 3 days you get to see these guys. And he was obviously the guy. Bo Nix, we're going to talk about his day in a little bit there, but Penix, like I said, you can see the cannon he had. You can see all the stuff that people talk about. But he didn't necessarily laid it up where you're like, oh my God, this guy's amazing either.
Yeah, he was just kind of vanilla when he was there.
Yeah. Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson. We talked about him because the Giants did talk to him and talked to him about moving over to the guard position potentially. But he's a big winner. A lot of conversations involving him. But also just the offensive linemen in general. They were dominant in the drills at that point. And that's usually the opposite way because these drills are meant, they're one-on-one drills. You have no help. So typically the defensive line is going to get through. It just might take a second. And you kind of judge the players based on how long it takes them to get through or how long an offensive lineman can hold his ground for. That's how you really judge in those kind of battles. So to see the offensive line basically dominate the defensive line says a lot about the offensive line coming out of this draft. So on to the losers. And the losers here, kind of the opposite of the winners here. So Bo Nix is number one. We talked about it. He did not look good. I will say I saw some people that said the opposite and thought he looked good. And I think those people were clearly smoking crack. So I don't know if they were celebrating LT's birthday with him or what the deal was, but I was
going to say, makes me think of LT and Waterboy.
Yeah, because that's a little craziness there. By the way, happy belated birthday to LT. We wished him a happy birthday on Twitter and all that stuff. But yesterday was his 65th birthday. Makes me feel really old because I remember him playing. He's 65 now. Oh my God. Anyway, next up on the losers board, Devontae Walker, a wide receiver out of North Carolina. Now he's a guy that looked really, really good. Got shut down the last couple games. Didn't go into the last. Didn't go to the bowl game with the Tar Heels there, and people are kind of not sure what to think of him. Remember we talked about this with Drake May. North Carolina has an extremely weak schedule. We talked about it. They played a game against a team that's literally called the Camels. I'll never get past that one. I'm sorry, I can't get past that one. I know I bring it up each North Carolina discussion, but the freaking Camels.
I imagine the mascot being like Joe Camel from this.
Oh my God!
Company.
Please,
I love the jacket.
Please tell me that. Which reminds me, I forgot to go on my rant about the Giants. I'm going to go over that in a second here. But yeah, a lot of people thought he was going to be a potential elite first round, early second round kind of guy. He looked really bad. Was targeted multiple times during the game. Didn't get a single catch. Drop balls looked really bad. So he probably is going to be one of those guys that's dropped down pretty decent. So he's actually a guy to think about later on in the draft because you think you can fix it, whatever the mistakes are. He's already shown he's got potential. Other losers, defensive line group. We talked about them getting beat by the offensive line. The wide receivers group. We talked about Mitchell from Toledo, but overall, the wide receivers were getting classed by the corners. So the nice thing is, what does that tell you guys? Wide receivers? Nope. Not necessarily a good place to go. Corners? Offensive linemen. That's where to go in this draft as far as the mid-tier rounds.
What do we need? Pick up?
We need a corner and we need offensive linemen.
Yeah.
We need a wide receiver as well, but we need a wide receiver that would have not been at the Senior Bowl, like a top flight guy, like a Rome or a Malik, somebody like that. So those guys don't go to Senior Bowls; they're already done. They don't want to get hurt. That's their big thing. So yeah. All right, real quick. So I almost forgot to go on my rant to the Giants. I'm going to go over my rant to the Giants real quick here, and I really doubt that anybody is able to get this to John Mara, but if you are listening and you have that ability, please get this over to John Mara immediately. Post haste.
Hey,
VIP.
let's go.
VIP here. I gotta say, after going to the Pro Bowl, I feel like there's two things that we've been gypped on as Giant fans. And it's part of the fun of experience of going to a game. Cheerleaders and mascots. Just saying. I feel like, and maybe this is just me, because again, the negativity surrounding this team the last couple of years. But I was thinking about it, and the first thing came to my head was the medium Coke thing, where they gave that to the season ticket holders as a thank you. Like, that's not a thank you; it's medium Coke. That's a slap in the face. I feel like the ownership and this team takes us as fans for granted.
Yeah.
It's like, let's make the most vanilla stadium we can. Let's give them a bare bones experience. They're going to come no matter what. It's the Giants. We always sell out. If they always come, the fans will come.
If you build it, they will come.
That's what I feel like they have the attitude of. And to be kind of frank, it's kind of pissed me off.
I mean, our mascot's a giant. Obviously, it's in the title. No, but
I'm saying, like, go get somebody in a costume to dress up as a giant caveman or something and call it a day.
Yeah, I can get behind that. When it comes to
they were having a lot of fun, the mascots. They were entertaining.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the cheerleading thing, like I get it. They're old school football. That was before cheerleaders was around.
Nope. We had cheerleaders. We had cheerleaders. We have had cheerleaders in the past. I got to look it up to see if I can figure out when. Okay, never mind. I take it back. We're apparently us and the Browns the only ones to never have cheerleaders. I could have swore that I read somewhere that we had cheerleaders like way back in the day. Like we're talking
I don't
like
recall ever having cheerleaders. I don't recall.
Well, no, I'm saying like World War II kind of days.
Well, every nice sports events has some nice dames dressed up for the men in the green.
Now, what's interesting is if you search New York Giants cheerleaders, apparently it's an unofficial group of cheerleaders. So, guys, they're already there.
Oh,
John Mara, get on this. I don't know how good they can cheer, but I'm not. It's pictures, not videos. I'm seeing here when I search this, but I'm just saying. I think it's something we should do. I really do, and it's not like listen, guys. This is not the sexist. I want to see half naked women on the field, though I don't mind it. Obviously, it goes in the pro column, but it's just something fun and entertaining. It's just part of football.
And also, we play in not a dome in New Jersey where it's cold by the Hudson. They'll be wearing hoodies.
Yeah, and we're one of 6 teams right now. By the way, don't have cheerleaders. We didn't have a single, and every other team we got a cheerleader that is sent to the Pro Bowl. Like I said, it was just sudden. Like I said, I feel like we've gotten this minimalistic experience because of the way the Giants have run things lately. Yeah.
Like you said, us Browns.
Yeah, well, obviously us and the Browns. I have to look up the whole thing. I don't have that. Bears, Browns, Lions, Packers, Steelers, and Giants. So basically, they're really, really cold spots. But still,
makes sense.
Like I said, I just feel like we're getting gypped a little bit there. I just really do. I feel like we're getting taken for a ride there. They just they'll be there. They'll be fine. That's what I feel like. All right. Let's pay the bills real quick, and then we're going to run through quickly some NFL notes and Giants news here. We're almost an hour in. I told you guys it's going to be a long episode. I forewarned you. What didn't I? Guess
90 minutes.
I was right.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty. Let's go through. We got a couple comments from Connor that we'll get into the news here. Connor says Pro Bowl is not a Pro Bowl anymore. Do it after the Super Bowl so we can get old school tough games again. I hate Pro Bowl, boring with a capital B. Again, I don't think it does very well on TV from the things I've seen of it, but in person it's different. It's a fun experience. I do think though that you'll never see those days again because you saw what happened. Nobody wanted to play. Nobody wanted to do it.
They don't want the risk injury.
Nope.
Yeah.
Did not want it. Kind of yet they still get big payday to play two-hand touch. LOL. It's not even that. It's more like I think of it like a bonus. They're like a bonus. Like you were one of the best players in this league, and we just made a lot of money off this game, so therefore we're going to give you a cut of that money. It's fair. I mean, some of these guys, $1 million. Like let's say like Jalen Hurts, for example, he's probably going to make what, like $40 million next year. So he plays 17 games. So 40 divided by 17. He took a pay cut to play. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe that was the problem.
But it's also the honor to play in a Pro Bowl.
It is, but they don't look at it that way anymore. They don't. It's a business. You know what? And you can't blame the players because for years and years the owners make business decisions. Now the players have wised up, and because of all the money involved, and they've been trained to make business decisions themselves now, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Connor says, "I was just thinking about stealing LT's Porsche over there. Gentleman brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack. LOL. Oh my god. Got a little water boy there." Connor says, "You think with all the hot Jersey girls, we'd have some hot cheerleaders?" Like I said, it's not even necessarily about that part of it. Again, I'm not going to mind that part, but it's just something fun, entertaining, and it's part of the game. It's typical. I mean, hell, the Patriots cheerleader they sent to the Pro Bowl was a man. You could have men cheerleaders as well. Like I said, it's just part of the fun.
Yeah. Someone's got to catch girls when they come down off the pyramid.
Oh, God, you're going to say that too. Your dad says it was a free trip to Hawaii. But you know what? Here's the thing. And Jason Kelce got up and they actually handed him the mic and everything, let him talk to all the fans for a little while. And that's why I still think Kelce's gone. It probably was his last NFL game ever, technically, that I saw. He got a chance to go and talk to all the fans and stuff. And he was talking about how one of the nice things for him in this whole experience was he got to bring his whole family down and brought them all to Disney and stuff like that. I think we forget sometimes these guys live very busy lives. You know, they're training nonstop. You know, like now things are over, okay, hypothetically, for almost everybody now. Well, it's not really over because now they're training. Now some of these guys are getting new coordinators and they're getting new playbooks soon and stuff like that, and they're prepping. You know, they got all this stuff coming up at that point there. Some of them is free agency. Now you have to do all these business things and stuff like that. The season never really ends as a player.
No.
So you don't necessarily get that time to spend with family and go do things. I mean, listen, it's not like you and I, they get more vacation time than the average person. I'm not trying to say they have none of it. But sometimes you just get tired of moving around and going to place to place. You want to have a staycation. And that's what these guys do sometimes. They don't want to travel. That's part of the not fun for them of this whole thing. So I think that Hawaii was a fun place for them. But I think because of the fact that Honolulu Bowl is gone, because I think they finally demolished it last year. But again, when I went to Hawaii a couple of years ago, it was like tarped off. You weren't supposed to go there. I got a nice view of the stadium and stuff. It actually was a cool little stadium. It's a very tiny stadium. But I just want to see it because of all the big names that played in that field. Like you gotta not. I'm gonna see this.
You got it.
Yeah.
Win in Hawaii.
Yeah, but like I said, being that no longer an option, and there's not an NFL ready stadium, Orlando is just as good as you get. You got the beaches within a couple hours away. You got Disney, you got Orlando, you got Universal, you got all this stuff there. You got SeaWorld and Shamu and all. I mean, and plenty of hotels. Can't complain about the lack of hotels there, for damn sure. So
yeah, so
like
next year
probably the best spot to put it for right now is to keep on doing it there.
So next year when it's down there, you need to go hang out with Disney for the week, see if you can see the players.
I have season passes or annual
That's what
passes.
I'm saying.
I always want to call them season passes because when I lived up there, it was season passes for Six Flags and all that stuff.
But you got like one season.
Annual pass. It's annual pass. We got two. I call it summer and I call it fall. It's like spring and fall thrown together. We're in fall right now.
Where?
Anyway, Connor says
look at the weather.
Instead of Pro Bowl change to Rookie Bowl or third Scrubber Bowls, maybe they can improve themselves. Listen, I would watch a rookie game. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that. Seriously, I would. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see. Connor says, boo-hoo, crybaby millionaires, LOL, JK. They were crying. He wasn't complaining about it. He was just saying it was nice to get out with family and take them all to Disney and enjoy time with the family this week. That's all he said. Nothing wrong with that. Let's see here. All right, let's get into the Giants news here.
Oh, yeah.
We brought back some of the video stuff last episode. Guess what we're doing?
It's time for the news.
Yes. The Giants denied the Seattle Seahawks permission to interview Mike Kafka for their OC position. Now, here's the most interesting thing about that. I don't think there's a freaking chance in hell that the Seahawks didn't interview. We're going to request to interview him if they didn't know he would accept their request. They have knowledge within his camp. They had him in for 2 interviews for head coach. From all accounts, considering Ben Johnson took himself out of the race, if they didn't get Mike McDonald, Mike Kafka might have been their head coach, guys. It was that close, which is just crazy to me. I still don't see it, but that's the situation. So here's another guy that wanted to bail ship, but apparently we didn't let him. So now my question is, do we have an OC that doesn't want to be on the team?
I mean,
because he could have been going, I'll go on the interview. Let's hear what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he could have also been like, I want the hell out of here.
He also been interviewing for a head coaching job since last year.
But that's fine. But that's fine. That's different. You're moving up. I'm talking the lateral move and going to OC to OC.
Yes.
That's the lateral move. Now, was there potential for a pay increase? Yes. Was there potential for a spot where he could have had a little more job security? Because we talked about Brian Dable, what happens if he has another bad year? Yes. Would he have been going with a defensive coach where you probably have pure control of the offense, unlike what happened with, Dable last year? Yes. All those things are yes. My concern is I'm just hoping we didn't block him just to get I don't want to say disgruntled. I think he'll still do his job, but an unhappy employee, if that makes sense.
No, 100%.
If he's unhappy, let him go. Let him go. We can get somebody else. Mike Kafka to me is not this, oh my God, how do we replace Mike Kafka kind of guy?
No.
He's not. He's not horrible. I'm not saying that. I haven't seen anything that go, oh my God, we need to keep Mike Kafka. Like I said, I'm still shocked you got head coaching, interviews.
Week 5, 4 or 5, whatever it was, maybe it was week 6. We're all talking about how Brian Dable was out there calling plays in offense.
That's week 2.
Yeah. But we're like, was he calling the offensive plays there or was he not? So now everyone's losing their shit thinking that Mike Kafka might get a head coaching job or go somewhere else. Meanwhile, we're all praising Dable for sitting there calling plays. Do we know if he was calling them or not? So and
now in the offseason, we're vilifying him for calling the plays. The same people who cheered him on for it.
Yeah.
Can't have it both ways, guys. Pick a side. Like I said, something to keep an eye on, though, because there's plenty of options. And if he really wants to go, honestly, guys, we should have let him go. So I hope that it's going to come back to bite Dable in the butt. Another guy who is gone, though, tight ends coach Andy Bischoff is leaving to join the Charger staff. What's interesting is he'll be their tight ends coach and run game coordinator. Now, what I say the most interesting is we just blocked Mike Kafka from taking a lateral move. Just saying, guys. Like, now you could say the Chargers included a run game coordinator in the title, so I'm not sure if that counts as far as NFL rules as a lateral move. But
I guess it's an extra job. It's a promotion.
I guess still, like, we just let him go. Like, we let him go. Let him go.
Let him go. You want to see Waller? Let him go.
I'm just saying, like, that's a little bit of a baffling choice to me there. Like, don't have different rules for different people.
Yeah.
People want to go, let them go. You don't want people that don't want to be here. But yeah. So now we got to find a tight ends coach. Joy.
Yippee.
Yes. In other news, in the oh my god, this is so obvious, I can't believe this was a story. Carl Banks, the aforementioned, we talked about him earlier, said that Daniel Jones has to play better in 2024 or risk being thrown out the door. Groundbreaking stuff, Carl.
Slow clap.
Now, what I do find interesting of it is Carl Banks. I want to word this carefully because I don't mean this in a negative way. Carl Banks works for the Giants. Carl Banks has to be careful what he says to a certain degree because he works for the Giants. And I don't mean that like he's muzzled and stuff like that where he won't say what he wants in the end. What I mean by that is he'll word it in specific ways to try to keep himself out of trouble.
Correct.
So, and I think he picks and chooses what comments and what topics he wants to be negative about. So the fact that he said that means that I think it's pretty obvious that everybody is right when we're all thinking this is probably Jones's last year, that the organization as a whole has probably given up on him.
Yeah.
That's what it says to me.
Like you said, he literally has to play. We're going to paraphrase. He has to play his butt off. Otherwise, he risks losing being shown the door.
A lot of money. USA Today reported that there is no trade market for Daniel Jones. Other shocking news. Who would have thought?
Done. Just in.
Connor Hughes, friend of the show of SNY there, seconded that and said selecting a QB in the first round does not mean Shane then trades Jones. So like I said, I don't know why we're an obvious news segment, but we are. That's what's going around Giants news right now. Let's get to the unobvious. PFF listed Michael Pittman Jr. as a great fit for the Giants in free agency, which has got a lot of fans all excited. They're so excited they came and stand up right now. Last year, the Giants had 109. Sorry, the Giants pretty much did have this numbers. Michael Pittman had 109 receptions, 1,152 yards, both career highs, but not horribly far. That's one thing that concerns me. I don't want to pay a guy off his best year ever, but it's not that far off his average. His average over the last 3 years, keep in mind, it's been 4 years in the league. So you take out just his rookie year when he had like 500 yards, take that out, and just average the 3 past that. 99 receptions, 1,053 yards. That's his average. That's not bad. That's pretty good. I would say it's a 1, but it's like a lowercase 1.
Yeah.
And they were talking numbers. They don't actually have uppercases. I'm just saying. Like, he's not Tyreek Hill. He's not A.G. Brown. He's not C.D. Lamb. He's not Puka Nacua. He's not Amon-Ra St. Brown. But he's legitimately a much better receiver than anybody else we have on this roster. My only question is how much he's going to want money-wise. I don't want to overpay.
Oh, he's definitely
I don't want to overpay. I don't understand this whole $20-30 million a year for receivers thing. Like, they're not worth it. I'm sorry. They're really not. Unless you're going to be a guy like Tyreek Hill, and there's not a lot of those guys out there. Like, Justin Jefferson. You got to be that good to me to want to pay you that much money.
Agreed.
So
if you want 12, all right.
I would even say 18. It's like once you start getting close to 20, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, too rich for my blood here. It's like when you watch Pawn Stars, like, oh, sorry, it's just too much money. You can't.
Hmm.
Can we settle on 16?
Please, 15-5. 15-5.
So yeah. Let's see here. Connor Hughes again in the news here. So we got to talk to him about coming back on the show. Connor was fun.
Yeah,
He said
he's a good guy.
the Giants are expected to actively look for Evan Neal's potential replacement at right tackle, and said they'll kick Neal inside once they find that player.
It's
Interesting.
like we've been saying that for a year.
And remember, we called that the second Joe Shane and Dable had their press conference because you noticed a shift in the tone talking about Evan Neal. There was this clear shift after the season was over. So, yeah, we knew that was happening. So, but glad to see somebody has a little bit more inside knowledge than we do verifying that. Wan'Dale Robinson. Remember we talked about him as being our potential breakout player of 2024? Again, we're not the only ones, apparently. You know, I just love having the popular opinion.
Right? It's like these people listen to the podcast and just...
I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like, we say these things, and then, like, somebody, like, big like these guys say this stuff later on. It's like, yeah, we've been saying that for weeks now. Wan'Dale Robinson.
I've been saying about Wan'Dale since he broke out against the Lions.
I know you have. You like that game. That one game got you excited. You had a little chubby there.
Well, listen, he was consistent leading up to the game. And that was his breakout game. And I was like, damn, he's going to be a great Giant.
He was building up. And I told you, I think he'll be a 100-yard guy this year, a 100-catch guy this year. I really do. I think in 2024, he's going to be a 100-catch guy. He might not get the most yards. He might break the record for least yards with 100 catches. but he's going to be that guy. We should look that up. It's a random stat. But
it depends who lines up under center.
Yeah. I really think it depends on his yak. That's what I think. I think it does. He gets these short catches, and he just doesn't always have the ability to break it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but then he does break it a few times, and he goes down. So we'll see. This year he was coming off the ACL. Next year he should be 100% healthy. I expect more out of him than what we saw this year. So the fact that
here we go. Sorry, I have my answer for us. 2017. Javaris Landry with the Dolphins.
Yep.
112 receptions. 987 yards. That is the least yards ever with 100 catches.
Damn.
Yeah. What's crazy is, again, 112 was like he barely missed the cut. You know, Keenan Allen 2020 had 992 yards. Adam Thielen this year had 1,014 yards. So there's been a couple of guys in the last couple of years. Jalen Waddle in 21, 104 catches, 1,015. This just shows you how different the game is nowadays. Because if you go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All of the top 10 are from 2016 or newer. Just shows you how much it's become like that. That's the new style of the game. And then you go to 2001, 2007, but then 19, then 09, 21, 07, 23, 06, 23, which was, by the way, Michael Pittman. This year he was on the list.
Wow.
I'm just saying it's interesting thing is I could catch that real quick there. But like I said, I think we would break out. But anyway, John Macri of PFF, he listed him as a breakout, one of his breakout guys for 2024 there. So again, keep in mind this might be a good time to buy a jersey for Wan'Dale Robinson. Sterling Shepard, we talked about him. There was a big controversy because of a certain content creator that would remain nameless. We all make mistakes. Was going around saying he was retiring, and it got shared by every single Facebook group there is for the Giants and stuff like that. And I kept going, he didn't retire, guys. He didn't retire. Guess what he said? The latest quote. He said, I think it's too early to close the door on that for me. That's what he said. He's not retiring. Yeah. That's what he was asked. Again, guys, he hasn't retired. He's done with the Giants because the Giants have told him they're done with him. Not in a disrespect way. I kind of sounded bad. Just it was time to part ways. Former Giants, speaking of former Giants wide receivers, Ike Hilliard has been named the next wide receivers coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh,
that was good. I didn't know what he was up to. I haven't heard that name in years, but I had his jersey in high school.
that's a throwback.
I thought he was going to be really good. He was good, but not really good.
I was about to say, but not really good.
No, I thought he was good. Listen, there are plenty of guys that would kill to have the career that Ike Hilliard have. And I know that sounds weird because he's not like, again, he wasn't the guy who was like Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But the guy had 6,400 yards in his career, basically. Was 4 yards shy of 1,000-yard season in '99. And ended up 12 years in the league overall. That's a good.
That's a good career.
Solid career overall. Yeah. Especially when you consider the fact that when he played for the Giants, guys, he wasn't here for the Eli years. He was here for Eli's rookie year, and that's it. So he was here for the Kerry Collins. He was here for the Danny Cannell years. Like that's where he was at. So not to mess with Collins. Collins was a decent quarterback for us for a few years there, but like I said, just didn't have that elite quarterback that a lot of the guys, when you talk about the greatest wide receivers ever to play for the Giants, he didn't have that. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox by Ike Hilliard. I just think he's underrated. Underrated guy a little bit. All right, let's get into the NFL news. Last segment here before we head on out here. Oh, yes, the explosion at the end is everybody's favorite. So Patriots are in talk to add former Giants head coach Ben McAdoo to their staff. Interesting. McAdoo was last in the league in 2022, and he was the Panthers OC. So, yeah, been a little bit.
He had a great season then.
Yeah, worst offense in the league. Anyway, was literally, actually. It's the very scary part. I might as well bring in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge on the offense again. I hate to say it that way. He was a good OC for us. Listen, all jokes aside, he was a good OC for us. Cliff Kingsbury was this close to being the Raiders OC.
Oh,
instead, he's off to be the Commanders OC instead. Apparently, the length of contract was the issue with the Raiders after it was basically announced to the public, not by the Raiders, but through their, sources, that it was a done deal. Apparently Magic Johnson swooped in and was the one who convinced Cliff Kingsbury to go ahead and go over to the Commanders there. Interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute while that kind of is an intriguing part here. Eric Bieniemy was announced will officially not be coming back to the Commanders. Got to kind of feel bad for the guy a little bit. He leaves Kansas City because he wants to prove he can be an OC without Andy Reid, and then out of a job after 1 year.
It's got done dirty.
Yeah, and for all the struggles that they had in the Commanders last year, listen, their offensive line was crap. We all knew that. It was crap.
The quarterback play was subpar.
It was, but you know what? The first half of the league, people were talking about how good Sam Howell was. People forget that. The first half of the year, when he was getting hit in the head every 2 seconds, like he was strapped to a chair with a swinging hammer attacking him every 2 seconds. He was good. He looked good the first half.
I don't say he looked good, but he
I didn't say great. Keep in mind, I didn't say great. He said good. At one point, he's leading the league in passing yards, wasn't he?
He was close to it.
He
was up there.
Yeah.
He was that I'll throw you 350 yards a game, throw you 2 to 3 touchdowns, and also throw you 3 to 4 picks.
Again,
I get sacked 7 times.
Basically a rookie for all intents and purposes. So, but I'm saying he did some good, he did some bad. I don't know what to even think of Eric Bieniemy still. But somebody's going to take him. We'll see what happens because it kind of sucks to let him go, and like a lot of the offensive coordinator spots are filled up already. So maybe Mike Kafka brings him on. I don't know. They have a history, obviously. Or maybe Kafka brings him on and says, "Let me go now. Here you go. Take this guy.
Please
let me go. I just want to go out of here. Why can't we leave?" another thing at the rumor mill here is Ben Johnson was not impressed with the Commanders' ownership and thought they were quote unquote basketball guys, and that they were too confident in their football opinions. Which is why I said it's interesting that Cliff Kingsbury got convinced to play by Magic Johnson, part owner of the Commanders. But keep in mind, they got a guy who used to run the Golden State Warriors to run the team. And they got Magic Johnson in the front office. I get the basketball aspect of him. I don't know how much these guys do or don't know. So I guess we're gonna find out. Commanders also hiring Joe Witt from the Cowboys as their DC. He was their secondaries coach and passing game coordinator with the Cowboys, and he will call the plays that's been announced. If people are wondering if Dan Quinn would call the defense on the Commanders, nope. Apparently, that's Joe Witt. Raiders hire Luke Getsy as their OC. He's formerly a Packers quarterback coach and Bears OC. The Eagles met with South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler at the Senior Bowl. Very interesting. Is people are kind of drawing that to a, are they not too happy with Jalen Hurts? They want protection just in case? I'm looking at it as they're looking at a potential cheap backup for a few years.
Yeah.
I don't have confidence in Hurts, but I think the Eagles do.
I think they do. And as much as I don't like to admit it, the Eagles have been very good this past decade of drafting their backups and replacements.
Yep. I mean, that's maybe what it is, but they've had the last couple of years, Gardner Minshew. They had Marcus Mariota this year. Maybe they're tired of paying for backups and just want to get a cheap rookie guy. They're going to have some issues here at money soon. So makes sense. Bears GM was quoted as saying, Justin Fields got better. He can lead this team. No word yet of afterwards. He said, but he's not going to because we're drafting Caleb Williams. But under his breath, he might have said that. I still think they're going to do it. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind they're going to draft Caleb Williams. The more and more this goes. Former Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer is interested in joining the Cowboys for their DC opening. He was with the Cowboys, keep in mind, from 1994 to 2006, including being their defensive coordinator from 2000 to 2006, known as the horrible years in Cowboys history. So his last job was as a consultant for Deion Sanders at Jackson State in 2022. So I don't know how much they're thinking about this because the guy's been out of football for 3 years now. That's as far as NFL wise. I mean, it's
a long time.
I don't know. What's interesting is you don't think of it this way because Mike Zimmer's been a head coach for the last couple of years and that kind of stuff. He was on the Cowboys coaching staff the last time they won a Super Bowl. That's how long he's been coaching for. That's like me knocking the Cowboys and showing respect to Zimmer at the same time. Yeah,
that's funny.
That's like 94 to 95. Like that's the last one. Yeah. Cam Newton's back in the news, and not just for the ridiculous outfits he wears, because God damn it, that man should not be able to dress himself. I'm sorry.
No, just about his ridiculous comments.
It looks like he hangs out with Steven Tyler of Aerosmith and picks the things that Steven Tyler wouldn't wear.
He also looks like he does alternate outfits from the old WWE. What was the WWF at the time? Of The Godfather.
The Godfather. Oh my God.
Dude, his alternate outfits.
Anyway, Cam Newton called Brock Purdy the 10th best player on his team in a podcast. And so listen, that's insane, guys. Now, you have a team here with literally the best running back in all of football, the best left tackle in all of football. Sorry, Andrew Thomas, love you, man, but I think even he would admit he's probably not quite there. Top 5 tight ends in the league, and George Kittle. I don't know if you want to say top 10, top 15 in receivers with Ayuk and Deebo Samuel there. I don't know exactly where you put them. I have to go down the list. They're not elite like top 10, top 5, but they're probably
that team does not run the same without Samuel. He needs to be there.
Yeah, like I said, I just don't know where to put them in the list of top receivers in this league. They're not top 5. They're not that kind of guy.
No.
But
the way they use, because they use Samuel way different than just a tight end. I just
Yeah.
said the receiver. You could argue he makes top 10.
But you got Hargrave, you got Bosa, you got so many stars on defense at that point. But guys, he's the quarterback. Love him or hate him, he had one of the best seasons of any of the quarterbacks in the league this year.
Yeah.
He's a top 10 quarterback in this league.
And before like some injury issues in the first half, he was arguably top 3.
Yeah. So if you're a top 10 quarterback in this league, you're definitely a top 10 player on your team because that's the most important position. It's supposed to be your best player. I just think that's some sour grapes there by a guy who's wanted back in the league for 2 years and hasn't been able to. And
I think so.
Listen, I hate to say it, Cam, it's time to throw it up, man. It's done.
Listen, if he took it as a top 5, I would be like, okay, all right.
Yeah. Top 10 is hate.
Yeah. That's getting disrespectful.
It's a little jelly. And so there's a group, the sports trolls, they're on Facebook and everything like crazy. And they put a thing out there, like it's a fake quote from Brock Purdy back saying, I forget the exact word, which I don't have it in front of me. It was something along the lines of, I may not be top 10 of my team, but I can tell you this: there's 90 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and you're not one of them. I was like, oh my god, if Brock Purdy actually said that, I'd have so much respect for the man. Like, yeah,
that would be hysterical.
Tell him to sit down and shut up. Anyway, other news: Dolphins named Anthony Weaver their defensive coordinator. He was the Ravens' assistant head coach and defensive line coach last year. The Bucs hired Liam Cohen as their OC. He was a Rams offensive assistant last year. The Seahawks named Leslie Frazier as their assistant head coach, which is interesting because I thought he might get a shot at our DC position. Obviously, that hire happened before we hired our DC. But, yeah, I thought he might get a look, especially with all the people who are losing. Kind of a favor to Dable. Makes you wonder, does Frazier not like Dable? With all the people not liking it, I think people just assumed that Frazier and Dable had that connection and it was going to work. But maybe that's a dangerous assumption. It's not like they had a choice but to work together. So
true.
Seahawks also named Jay Harbaugh as their special team coordinator. He is the son of Jim Harbaugh. So the Harbaugh traditions continue. Le'Veon Bell is training to return to the NFL. He wants to be a Steeler again, he said publicly. I think he has a better chance of being the Giants' new mascot, personally. I mean, he's just... Listen, he looked bad. He looked bad the last couple of years he played. Like, what made him special went away when he took that year off. And I don't know if he just didn't train hard. I don't know. I don't want to judge either way for something I wasn't there for. But it's like he didn't, because he lost a lot of what made him special. Roger Goodell tonight. This is a breaking news comment here. Breaking news. Should we get the breaking news for that one? Should we?
Ooh, yes.
Oh, we haven't done that in a while. There we go.
Been a while.
Had the breaking news one in a little while there. Here we go. Roger Goodell tonight said that the Brazil game we played the first Friday of the season. So the opening weekend, there's going to be a Friday game in Brazil. And it's going to be hosted by the Philadelphia Eagles. Interesting. You know, it made me kind of think of something here. You know, all these different games we're doing here, and obviously we're 17 games, so half the team get an extra home game. You know what I'd like to see them do? Give every team one international game per year. Keep it fair that way. You each get 8 home games. And I had to figure out the logistics to it. Maybe it doesn't work out as well as I'm thinking. I'm just saying, if you're going to have an extra game, have 8 games at home, 8 games away, and have 1 international game.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
It makes a lot of sense. You want to expand? That's the way to expand. This international stuff all like crazy, okay? Like, okay, where are we going today? Oh, we're going to Stockholm, Sweden today for the Commanders and the Cowboys playing. Like,
the poor Swedes.
Well, it wouldn't be a divisional game, obviously. I just was throwing 2 names out there. You'd keep it like random games that didn't matter for the divisional rankings, that kind of stuff. But like I said, I just think it'd be interesting to do. I'd be kind of curious at how that work out. But You want to expand, there's your way to expand. But you also got to hire some more people to kind of set up events and all, because that's a lot of work.
Yes.
All right.
Gosh.
What did I say? I said 90 minutes. We're a 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 15 seconds, guys. Woo. I was 15 seconds
We did
off.
it.
I apologize. I knew it was going to be a long one. That's what she said. Anyway, we'll be back again on Wednesday night for you guys here. We'll be doing our next in the State of the Team series here with the running backs. That is, unless anything big breaking news happens. Obviously, we reserve the right to change things up based on what happens news-wise. And then Thursday, we'll do our superb owl preview. Whatever we have to call it, so we don't get sued by the NFL for calling it something else.
That other thing.
Yeah. So, we'll have that on Thursday for you guys. And, of course, we'll continue giving you guys all the latest news in the NFL as things are going. So, appreciate you guys watching. As always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, Instagram, and, of course, Rob's favorite,
Drew's
LinkedIn profile. And, of course, we're on all the audio podcasts known to man. Pretty much we're on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts while still going. We're on YouTube Podcasts. We're on so many things. It's not even funny.
All
Amazon,
the podcasts,
Alexa, all that stuff here. Yeah, it's everywhere. We're like Visa. We're everywhere you want to be. So appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe, hit that like. Much appreciated, guys. We'll see you guys again Wednesday night. We'll see you guys again Thursday night, and we'll repeat the process again. Do it again. What the hell? We've been enjoying it. We're doing it for a year and a half now, so let's keep it going. Appreciate you guys watching, listening, as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.